The most misunderstood word is absolutely, hands down, not what you think. What are we talking about? Stay tuned. I'm Cristy Code Red, and you're listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle, where we believe food holds the power to heal or poison, and we believe our society has been misled regarding proper nutrition and weight loss. You're in the right place if you're looking for some straight up truth, because I'm here to shed light on the lies and brainwashing that has taken place over the past 5 decades. Thanks so much for listening. Welcome back to another episode of Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. I'm your host, Cristy Code Red, author, entrepreneur, retired professional boxer. I twisted his arm and I got him back on the podcast, folks. Brad, thank you for joining me again, sir.
Yeah, great to be here. Always fun to chat with you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I think we've got another good one. And according to the feedback that I'm getting from the people, from the rebels, from the community, from the listeners, from the viewers, reading the comments, hearing from you, you guys really like when I've got Brad on because he just brings a different perspective. And he really brings some serious, applicable knowledge that you guys can take with you immediately. And today is no exception. Brad, please, for people who might not know you, would you please introduce yourself?
Hey guys, I'm Brad Pickett. I'm co-creator of The Shift with Cristy Code Red. And I also am a real estate investor and just been a lifetime entrepreneur. So great to be here.
Yeah, you're like a serial entrepreneur. You just, even when you had a regular job, you were still hustling on the side.
Yeah, I haven't really had a regular job in my life, honestly. I mean, I've had some as a kid, but I was a firefighter for a period of time, for about 6 years, full-time firefighter EMT. But the cool thing about that was it was only 10 days per month. So I still was doing real estate and buying houses and doing creative financing and things like that. So yeah, lifetime entrepreneur. I've worked for myself my whole life, and I don't know, maybe that's just because nobody wants to work with me, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
At the time that this comes out, I believe we're going to be in the middle of the 21-day shift, but check back with us. We're going to be having them frequently. You're going to be able to get in on the next one. But today we are going over the most misunderstood word. And I can promise you, it is not what you think. Now, let me start us off. Brad, there are a lot of great James Allen quotes, but you brought up one from the book, As a Man Thinketh. Start us off with that. Tell us how that pertains to this.
Yeah, so James Allen, he was alive like in the early 1900s, late 1800s, wrote a lot of really good books. As a Man Thinketh is free on the internet, guys. If you want to check it out, it's like a 45-minute audiobook. But one of my favorite quotes in there is, circumstances do not create the man, they reveal him. And when you hear that on the surface level, you're like, you don't really know what it means. But in life, all too often, we look at our circumstances and we say, you know, the economy sucks, so I can't make money, or my boss won't give me a raise, or, you know, I can't do well because I live in a crappy little town or whatever. And you're usually saying that your circumstances are the reason why you're not becoming what you want or getting what you want in your life. It's actually the exact opposite. And we're going to talk about that today. Your circumstances, guys, like if you take a look around you, what's surrounding you, maybe you have a loved one with you. Maybe that's great. Maybe you've raised some great children. Usually people have things that they like and they have things that they want to improve on. But literally your circumstances as they are right now is like a perfect, just like nature is perfect and works perfectly, so does creation. That's what we talk about in The Shift. But your circumstances are a perfect scorecard for exactly what you've been thinking and how much responsibility you have in your life.
And that's the word that we're talking about, guys. The most misunderstood word is responsibility. And I guess I never thought about it, Brad, until I heard you say that. I don't know guys, if you don't follow Brad on Instagram, he's got a lot of great nuggets every day, but I think I probably heard you say this on Instagram. Responsibility, the ability to respond, and it's not what people think. Explain that to us.
Yeah, so I think it happens from a kid. You know, when you're a kid, you're like, I know you're responsible for this, or if you get in trouble, maybe you get in trouble with the law or something, it's like it's your responsibility, or your parents say you're responsible for taking out the garbage. And so you always have this connotation of it being something bad. Like I'm to blame. Like if it's my responsibility, then it's my fault. And therefore I don't want responsibility. Well, guys, when you shun responsibility, you are literally giving away your power. So if we break down the word just a little bit and we look at it, it says response ability. So responsibility is simply the ability to respond. So when you choose not to take responsibility, which is programmed into us just from what I was just talking about, then you're literally saying, I am not at control and I can't respond to this. So what happens then is we go into the victim mentality. So if something is not your responsibility, that automatically makes you a victim of whatever that is. And I'll go even a level deeper. It's cause and effect. So when you say you're not responsible, it means you're at effect from an external thing that you have no control over. And guys, when you truly understand quantum physics, we talk about this in the shift, when you actually realize that you are creating your reality with every thought. Maybe you saw our last podcast where we talked about voting for your future. Literally every single thing that shows up in your life, and this goes really deep, is something that you have created. So you truly are responsible for everything in your life. And as soon as you realize that, it gives you the power to respond.
I'm thinking back here, like I'm 47 years old, and I'm thinking back at I wish I would have learned this. I wish I would have learned all this 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. I could have, I mean, who knows? Who knows? But I absolutely hate the victim mentality. And yet I can still see how I have misused this word, or I haven't taken 100% responsibility like I should have.
Yeah, we could use an example. Maybe you have a boss, right? Or maybe it's your spouse, and or someone, maybe you're breaking up with someone or you're arguing with your boss and you're like, well, it's his fault that I can't have what I want, right? And so what you're actually doing at that point is, if you have a pie, imagine you have a piece of pie and that's your chi, your creative power, your connection to source or God or whatever that is. You're literally taking 10% of that and you're handing it to the person that you don't like. And you're saying, you control 10% of my power. Why don't you take this? Which logically makes no sense, right? Because why would you give your power away to the person that you're, arguing with or struggling with, or the situation you're struggling with? But that's what you're doing when you're saying it's not my fault. I'm actually a victim of my boss. So you're saying, okay, now my boss has 10% or 20% of my power, and it's up to him whether I succeed. Well, guys, that's not true. Obviously, you can go get another boss. You can communicate better to your boss. You can ask for what you want in work. You can take responsibility. Why are you at the job? Right? It's not your boss's fault. Like you chose the job. Why did you choose that job? You can go into this in depth with all kinds of different things. But the funny thing about it is people are actually giving away their responsibility to the thing they don't like. So it's like giving away your power. So when you take that back and you say, you know what? I took this job out of haste because I needed the money. I probably could have looked around better. And if I probably just would have held out and finished my technical degree, I could have got the actual job I wanted. So I'm actually responsible for having an idiot boss. How do I fix this? Well, do I increase my communication? Do I, and then you have the ability to respond to the problem versus saying, it's not my fault.
One of the biggest things that I have to deal with my Code Red Rebels is the fact that they blame their genetics for their weight problem. Well, my grandma was fat. I'll always be fat. Well, my dad had type 2 diabetes. That's the weight. And we know that's not genetic. All right. Like we know this is type 2 diabetes. Come on, guys. That's lifestyle driven, the 100% lifestyle driven. And they always want to blame their genetics on why they are in the mess that they're in. And I have seen the switch with some people where they do take full responsibility of their body and their health and moving forward with a much better mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's in weight loss, it happens a lot. I mean, people just don't want to take responsibility. It's common to try to hide behind something so that it's not your fault. And guys, I don't want you to feel bad if you do that. What I want you to do is I want you to become aware that you're doing it, because the mind seeks to be comfortable, right? And the mind says, well, and you don't even realize that you're cogniting these thoughts. Like, you're actually thinking through this. Your mind's like, well, if I blame my grandma for it, then it won't be my fault. And therefore I'm giving away my responsibility. But what else are you doing? You're immediately becoming a victim of genetics. And let's say that maybe, I mean, Chris, you probably say no to this. Let's say that maybe you do have some genetics that make it harder to stay fit. I don't even know if that's true or not. But if it is, you also have genetics that make you really good at different things, right? It doesn't mean you can't respond to it. And technically speaking, I don't know how deep we want to go, but your genetics are your responsibility too.
Ooh, what? Yeah. Whoa. Well, now either you tell me now or you tell me after we get done recording. I got to hear this.
Yeah. I mean, this does go deep, guys. I mean, whether you're like, well, I was driving through an intersection and a guy hit me that ran the stop sign. How's that my responsibility? Well, it is your responsibility, and here's why. Now, this is going to go a little bit deep, and some of you may or may not follow this correctly. But if you look at what energy signature you had as you pulled into that intersection, for two people to collide in an intersection, there has to be the same energy pattern, the same frequency. And we talk about this in the shift. It's basically what you're broadcasting. You may be thinking, and as you go through that intersection, man, I cannot stand my boss. I wish he would just get taken out and not come to work today. Or you may be thinking, whatever you're thinking, you're putting off anger, you're putting off dis-ease in the body where you've got energies that are fighting, and that's what causes two people to come together in an intersection. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but when you actually equate it to the same way that nature works, guys, nothing is a coincidence. Everything is a miracle. Every single thing that happens is just energy working together. So when you actually realize that every single thing has a frequency and a vibration, and you have to match that vibration with who you are as a creator inside, then you have to match that vibration to make it happen. So if you get in a car accident and you're aware enough to actually think it through, you will realize what you were vibrating in order for that to happen, and you will be able to take responsibility for it.
And he warned you guys. He warned you that was a little bit deep, but I mean, we're not here to tell you what you want to hear. We're here to tell you what you need to hear. So you talked about retraining your mind to be able to think power equals responsibility. I know that when I got a business coach back in 2016 and she completely changed Code Red and everything, she had to teach me how to retrain my thoughts, retrain my words, and to take responsibility. And so I think a lot of entrepreneurs fall into this trap too. I know it's big on weight loss, but it's big on with entrepreneurs. Well, it's I can't make money because it's the economy, or I can't, I know with me, if I have an on-staff copywriter who is responsible for a lot of the copy that you see with Code Red. If there is a mistake in that copy, it comes back to me. So I've learned early on to take responsibility for what happens with the staff. I mean, it's ultimately on me.
Yeah, there's so many different levels of responsibility, and that's why a lot of people work for other people. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. But when you are an entrepreneur, you have no choice but to be responsible, because you'll be on your face, right? If you can't take responsibility for your income, your balance sheets, what you're producing, no one's going to make it happen for you. So it's a trade-off. That's why responsibility is power. It gives you control back in your life. And a lot of us, another misnomer, we talk about responsibility being misunderstood, as being considered blame, but another misnomer is control. Oh, you don't need to be a control freak. Really? Have you ever tried to drive a car without control? Have you ever tried to walk without control? Right? So being in control is having the ability to respond. And entrepreneurs know this really well. And people that work for other people will learn it too. You have to take responsibility for what shows up so that you can make your life better. Otherwise, you just become a victim. And guys, we have a lot of victims in this world. We have a lot of people that say that the government owes them something, that, everybody owes them something and it's not their fault. And I'm telling you, the sooner you understand that that's an energetic trap, it's like putting yourself in quicksand. You're basically saying, take all of my power, And as soon as you change the things that I need changed, then I can be better. Well, that's not going to happen. You have to change them yourself, which is why you have to take responsibility for everything that shows up in your life. You have to realize that the circumstances don't make the man, they reveal him. So your circumstances, the bad boss, the bad relationship, the inability to lose weight, is just a revelation of your thought patterns and what you're bringing into your life. So when you take responsibility for that, you can begin to change it, and not before.
Yeah, I know that the entrepreneur comparison, the comment that I brought up was more like, I'm responsible for my company, but we're talking about much deeper than that, and truly believing that. So do you think that there are people out there that say that they're responsible, but they don't really believe it? Like, oh, my son got a DUI. That's something he did. No, that comes back. I mean, how are they really taking the responsibility like they should?
Well, you can always take more responsibility in your life. I mean, you always can. I mean, if you're 100% responsible for everything that shows up in your life, you're a awesome creator at that point. And that's what we teach in the shift. We teach how to create, find out, first of all, figure out what you want, then write it out and create it. So you're actually putting out those frequencies rather than the frequencies that bring bad things into your life, right? So guys, all it is energy matching energy. The same way that the river knows which way to turn based on gravity, and it's all the same thing. It's literally the same thing. So energetic signatures that you have are bringing certain things into your life. So if you change those energetic signatures by being part of the shift, that's why we created the shift, so people could take full responsibility and actually go back and be the captain of their ship, become the true creator that they actually are. I mean, people go through life, I equate it to, like, imagine if those big container barges that sail from China to Los Angeles, right? And they've got all these things on them. They've got, whatever, 60,000 gallons of diesel, and they head out to sea. Well, they always know where they're going, right? They know what they're going to do. They take full responsibility. If they didn't, it's like going through life without a rudder. You're just out to sea, going around in circles, and it's not your fault. You're just waiting for someone else to change something so you can have what you want. And that's the quicksand I was talking about. And that's why life can feel really hard. So it's kind of a trick. You have to trick your mind to say, okay, I take full responsibility. And it's hard because you're like, well, how's this my fault? I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask to break my leg, or I didn't ask to have this disease, or I didn't ask to have an abusive father, or whatever. And actually, technically, maybe you did. That's another whole nother level. But the point is, as soon as you take responsibility for it, you're able to change it. And that's what I really want the listeners to grasp here, is this isn't about being like, oh, I'm bad, it's my fault. Technically, it is your fault, but that's not the point of taking responsibility. The point of taking responsibility is so that you have the ability to respond and move out of that quicksand and start to create the life that you want to create by taking back your power. So responsibility is just one thing. It's power.
Yes, we're definitely not trying to shame anyone here. We're just trying to get you to realize, it comes back on you. So now, Brad, there are a lot of listeners. Most of our listeners are Christ believing women, and they were raised with strong religious upbringings, like myself. And I know that I was raised that, well, God's got a perfect plan for you, and you just kind of sit back and let it happen. And so we didn't take responsibility. We were kind of taught to just kind of take a back seat, and then whatever happens, it's God's going to handle it. So a lot of our listeners are struggling with this, what I'm supposed to take back control over God from my life. I can see that this is going to be a little bit of a confusing one for people.
Yeah, you had to go deep. I mean, I have the answer. You know what, guys? You set the intention. You are a piece of the creator. So you're actually, when you're supposed to, relax and let things flow, we teach that in the shift as well. But you have to set that intention. If you're the captain of the ship, you have to decide first where you're going, right? Like, as far as God or the creator goes, you can be whatever you want. God allows evil. You think if God didn't allow evil, it would be here? Of course he does. He allows. The reason that evil's okay is it's just cause and effect, guys. This is going to be a little bit mind-blowing, but there is no right or wrong. There's just cause and effect, right? So if you choose evil, you have a life of suffering. And there's all different levels of evil, whether that's eating the ice cream at night and suffering the next day and being overweight and having arthritis and aching joints and not being able to be there for your grandkids. That's part of choosing evil, right? It's cause and effect. So you have to set your intention. You have to decide what you want. And then you have to act in accordance to that by becoming cause over your life, right? And once you have that intention set, then you can actually relax and let yourself be done instead of doing. You let yourself be done because you've set the direction of where you're going. Just like the captain in the ship, he has the map, he knows the GPS coordinates. Just like the airplane pilot, he types in the coordinates for where he's going, and then he lets the airplane do its job. So it's a little bit of both. I mean, I think your listeners would probably agree that, you can, obviously God allows darkness and evil. He does. If he didn't want it, it wouldn't be here, guys.
Right.
So he also knows that if you choose it, you have certain things come into your life. So it's up to you. You have to decide what you want in life.
I don't have any children, but I have a strong responsibility towards children as far as doing my part to influence them in the right direction. And I know that the kids just love, the kids love my hair, and they love they love my makeup, and they love, I'll get a lot of response from kids. They'll listen to me. It's funny because the parents will say, I told them to eat their vegetables, but then when Coach Cristy says eat their vegetables, my gosh, they're eating their vegetables. And so this to me is maybe on a little bit of a different level here, is a great ability to respond when I see a kid and they want to talk to me, and I take that 45 seconds to really pour into them. That is my ability to respond to that child. That is my chance to pour into them. That is me not just saying, hey, I chose not to have kids. Those are your responsibility. You do it. Well, wait a minute. We all have to level up and raise these kids and make sure they're all good contributing members of society and that they're heading in the right direction. So I know this is a little bit different level as far as just the comment goes, but even though I did not have children, I take responsibility for the kids that I come in contact with and the ones that are in our community, in this town. I want to be involved in the schools. I want to be involved in the education system, even though I don't have a child in the education system. I still feel like it's my responsibility to do that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you can even say something as simple as the piece of garbage on the floor at the office.
Yep.
How many people walk by it?
Yeah. Be a part
Someone
of
else will
solution.
pick that up, right? So guys, if it's coming into your environment, you want to be able to take responsibility for it. But I think specifically what I would like for the viewers to address is, what are the problem areas in your life right now? If it's your health, if it's your eating habits, whatever it is, if you're unable to generate wealth like you want to generate, first thing you have to do is realize it's your fault. And I know that sounds critical, but it's not. It's something you're doing. That's how powerful you are as a creator. Your energy signature is bringing in these experiences, these circumstances into your life. So what you're vibrating is causing that effect on you. It's all cause and effect, guys. So to take this home, what you really want to do is you want to say, what's that one thing I can't change? Let's focus in on one thing. If you have one problem in your life, how can you be responsible for that? Like, for example, we go back to the business code red, or someone has an internet marketing business. Well, maybe they hired someone to write the code and it's not doing that well. Well, maybe they need to learn how to do code. Can you take more responsibility and learn how to do code? Or excuse me, copy. I keep saying code, but I mean copy. So you can take further responsibility. Alex Hormozy talks about this all the time. You can go into your business and find the areas and just make each area better, right? And the same thing with diet and fitness. When you want to stop, go another quarter mile. When you want to have that second serving, decide not to. How can I be responsible in this area so that I can make this change in my life? So again, find out what it is that you've had trouble changing and ask yourself specifically, how can I increase my responsibility, increase my control, increase my power, all by increasing my responsibility in this particular area of my life? And guys, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. As soon as you ask yourself that question, the answer. And at that point, it's just like, shoot, yeah, I'm just not doing it. Like, it. But it's so easy to say, oh, genetics, oh, my boss. But at that point, you can't change it because you've given it to someone else. So just look at what needs to change and then ask yourself how to be more responsible. And I guarantee you that answer will come to you. You're thinking about it right now. It's already came to you. You already know exactly what you need to be responsible for.
Ooh, we got some people cringing. We got people cringing all over the room. You're thinking about this.
Here's the thing, though. Like, it's like, choose your hard, right? If you choose the easy in the moment, you're like, well, it's not my fault. It's genetics. We've used all these examples. It's my boss, whatever. Okay, you chose easy in the moment. You took the easy button, right? I often equate it to going uphill or downhill when you make a decision. I'll always choose uphill, guys. The hard thing is to write a professional email to your boss and say, I'd like to talk to you. I really appreciate this opportunity. I feel like I need to talk to you about a couple things. Do you have time on Monday? Right? That's the uphill, right? So you know what needs to be done. Are you going to do the hard in the moment? Or are you going to pay for the hard over time by doing the easy in the moment? And that's really all this is, guys. Like, you're sitting there in the analogy of life, and there's a stairway up to everything you want. And then there's a slide down with some Doritos at the bottom for what's easy to do right now. And honestly, when you're not taking responsibility, you're just taking the easy way. Because again, when you ask yourself, what do I need to take responsibility for in this arena, this particular aspect of my life, you get an answer like that. You know. Now, will you do it? Hey, if you don't do it, at least know that it's you. It's you. It's not someone else. And once you know that and you still make mistakes, you give yourself grace, you're compassionate to yourself, then you can start to at least see that it is you. And guys, this is huge in relationships too. I mean, we all struggle in relationships with people. People are so dynamic. When you can start to take responsibility for, why am I getting triggered? Like, if someone says something and you get upset or you get defensive, then that's something that you need to look at, right? That's you have the ability to respond in different ways or to react. And so if you actually take responsibility for your reactions and say, maybe you think about it later on the car ride home, you're like, why did that bother me? Oh, it bothered me because when I was a kid, I had someone do something to me or whatever. But you start to realize where it comes from. You can start to work on it and you can start to take responsibility for it. And that's when true change starts to happen because you've taken back your power.
I know in Code Red, we talk about it's now or later. It's going to get you. It's just, might as well take care of it now because it's going to be a lot harder and a lot more expensive and take more time down the road. So you might as well just face it right now and just head on and let's start taking care of these problems, guys. Because I can tell you that I definitely have a lot of improvement in this area myself. And a lot of you guys do too. Any final thoughts, Brad?
Well, I mean, if we all want easy, I want easy. We all want easy. I mean, there's nothing wrong with easy, but if you really want easy, choose the hard now. Because that's the true easy. Honestly, like, do what's hard now and life will be easy. Do what's easy now and life will be hard. So by taking responsibility, get your control back, get your power back, do what you need to do in the moment, and then it'll be easier. Like, you get your stuff done, then you can go sit down and relax, right? Like, if you get it done and you do it, then that's actually easier. So we're really just seeking easy, which, it's just human nature, right? The path of least resistance, right? Well, the true path of least resistance, it always seems like it's just doing what's easy in the moment. But the true long-term easy, what's really easier over time is doing what's hard in the moment. And then it makes the long-term easy.
The most misunderstood word, responsibility, which is actually the ability to respond. You guys, another great podcast, Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. Thank you for joining me. Brad, how can people follow you? How can they find you and connect with you?
Cool. Thank you so much for having me. The best way to get a hold of me is on Instagram, probably one Brad Pickett with 2 T's, or you can come check us out at 21dayshift.com.
You guys, we will see you on the next one. Take care. Thank you so much for listening to Rebel Weight Loss and Lifestyle. If you are looking for some hardcore accountability to get and keep this weight off, look no further because I've got VIP Connection. This is the ultimate connection to me, just short of me sleeping on your couch. You're going to get 3 daily messages from me in real time directly to you. You're going to submit your weight every Friday. We're going to go over it in a weekly meeting on Sunday nights, and I'm going to give you feedback. You'll have access to a monthly VIP breakfast with me in Boise, a monthly VIP supplement box, access to any workshop, any PDF promo that I hold for that month. You'll have access to the Ringside membership. And best of all, you'll have a fully customized nutrition program written just for you. We're talking about over $3,000 total value for $397 a month, and you can cancel anytime. Go to CodeRedLifestyle.com/VIP to check that out.